My boyfriend is upset at me for hiding my wealth after he found out that I have a rich family, but what he asked after shocked me. I have been dating my boyfriend Mike for about 3 months now. We're both juniors in high school, and everything has been going well between us. We met through mutual friends about 8 months ago and hit it off quickly. He's funny, kind, and down to earth. We have an amazing relationship, but our financial situations are different. My family is pretty well off. Not rich or rich, but we live in a nice house, take 1 to 2 vacations per year, and I don't have to stress about money. I only work so I'm not sitting at home doing nothing. That being said, I've always been taught not to flaunt it or bring it up. We drive normal cars and live a fairly average lifestyle, even if we have more savings than others. I never talk about money with people. Mike's family doesn't have as much. He's mentioned how they struggle sometimes to pay bills and how they have to budget for everything. Because of this, he's made a few comments about rich kids being spoiled or out of touch, which is why I didn't bring up my family situation. I didn't want him to see me differently or feel awkward about the differences between us. I don't care what his financial situation is. I love him anyway. He's seen my house and knows my parents run a business, but he doesn't know about all my parents' assets, which make a lot more money and are what keep us comfortable. So he doesn't know how much we have. Well, recently, Mike and I had dinner with my family along with my cousins. We all sat down and talked about traveling in general, and one of my cousins mentioned a vacation home my parents had. She was talking about the cabin we had in the mountains. Mike went quiet, but I could tell something was up. Later, when we were alone, he asked why I never told him that my family had so much money. I tried to explain that it wasn't something I thought was important, and I didn't want him to feel weird about it. That's when he got a bit upset and said something that caught me off guard. He mentioned how I could have helped him out with some of the things he's been struggling with financially, like gas money or when his car needed repairs a few months ago. He said that he was not asking for handouts, but he said it felt like I was hiding something from him when I could have made things easier. I told him I didn't want to make things awkward between us by offering money, and I didn't think it was my place to get involved with his finances. But now, he says it feels like I wasn't being honest, and that maybe I don't trust him enough to share that part of my life. Over the next few weeks, Mike started getting a little invasive. He looked at my house on Zillow and was shocked at the value. Mike showed me his screen and was upset that he didn't know how rich we were. He also started looking up my family members on social media sites to see what they do and how rich they are. I asked him to stop being weird. Mike then responded that he was just trying to understand what my lifestyle was like. As we talked, I explained that my family's finances were private and that it was not my business to tell other people about them. The money isn't even technically mine, it's my parents'. This is why I didn't tell him. Mike didn't take this very well. He asked me how I could just watch him struggle for months and not do anything, how I pretended to feel bad for him when I didn't even understand how bad his life was. I responded that I did feel bad and that I had been supportive. I tried to get him a job at my parents' grocery store, but he didn't like it, so he refused. I would always give rides to him since gas was expensive. I offered gas money whenever he drove me, but he always refused since he wanted to pay for me. Even just emotionally, I was trying to be as supportive as I could while he was stressed. I acknowledged that I don't understand how hard his life is because I've never lived it, but I've done my best to be supportive emotionally. Mike just dismissed all of that and said that wasn't the point. He said that for him, the money wasn't the issue, it was trust. He felt that I had kept something significant from him, and he was wondering what else I was hiding. He said that he wasn't asking for handouts, but knowing I had the means to help him, but chose not to make him feel unsupported. Mike explained that he felt like there was a huge gap between us now, and that he would never be equal to me. He told me there was no reason for me to hide such a big secret from him. At this point, I got angry. I corrected him, saying he was asking for handouts. I mentioned our previous conversation about how he said that I could have helped with his car and gas. I explained the money he so desperately wanted wasn't even mine, it was my family's. I told him that he wasn't entitled to the money my parents spent over 2 decades earning. I couldn't just bail him out of his money problems. I went back to how I did support him, just not financially. I'm ashamed to admit that I lost my cool here and almost started yelling. After that, I calmed down and explained that I would never shame him for his struggles. My family never has either. They love him. We don't care about how much money someone has. We talked for some more, but I eventually told him I wanted to break up. It wasn't because he was upset I hid my wealth, but it was for digging into my family members' lives. I told him that it was extremely invasive, and I couldn't forgive that, and I couldn't feel comfortable around someone who would do that. It was a breach of trust for me. Mike also told me he wanted to break up since he didn't feel comfortable in a relationship where the financial gap is so big, and our lives were just too different. We ended the conversation and parted ways.